Yo, what's up, guys? Bajheera here, back at it again with another Path of Exile 2 Smith of Kitava Warrior update for you guys. So, we are level 89, and yesterday, we were putting in some work, pathing up to and hammering through tier 15 maps. So this guy is definitely doing it. It's been very, very cool to sort of bring him all the way up through the leveling process, early maps, mid maps, then blasting through T15. So we've been using a lot of our resources, kind of like rolling maps and getting it going. So we're like a little bit poor right now. No drops yesterday. We got like, the day before we got like 3 divines, maybe 4 divines. Yesterday we got nada, but we did make a lot of gains in terms of our character and in terms of like the overall progression anyway. So even though the gear hasn't changed too much, we can take a look at the talents and just kind of give you guys an idea of where we're at. But I guess there'd be one giveaway for one of the things we did with our character, which is we have a lot less armor and we have a lot more resist. It's like, what happened there? So yeah, of course. Let me show you. So we finally decided to at least do our third Ascendancy, where we did decide to go ahead and grab Smith's Masterwork, and our first 2 smithing things that we did were grab the +5 to maximum fire resistance, which does give you +5 to max all resistance thanks to Forged in Flame. And then we did go ahead and grab body armor grants 25% of physical damage from hits taken as fire damage. So this is essentially going to act as physical damage reduction for us. And if you are watching this video for the first time, just so you know, we also went with fire resistance into modifiers to fire resistance, also grant cold and lightning resistance at 50% of their value for my first Ascendancy, more fire resistance, and then modifiers to maximum fire resistance, also grant cold and lightning resistance max, which is awesome. So that's what I do with my Ascendancy. I kind of like structure these videos as if people have seen the progression, but it's always good to remember that sometimes this is the first time somebody's seen one of these build updates, and so I will try to be thorough about what we're doing. Although I do want to mention that each of these build updates and the way the build is configured is appropriate for where I'm at, and I think that what I was doing before this, and then after this potentially too, is appropriate for where I was at or where I will be at in the future, right? So this is not necessarily what everybody should be doing at first. This is kind of a representation of what I'm doing for where my character currently is in terms of his power and his gear, and of course what we're facing in terms of the challenges, which mostly right now are tier 15 maps. Although I will say where we are headed is most likely going to be starting to figure out how to get damage for pinnacle bosses, which will likely involve weapon swaps into bleed stuff. So we're going to want to hit hard still, but we're going to want to have those hard hits also have a bleed component. So we haven't done it yet, but we're actually very close to being able to do it, especially because we decided to move over here a little bit, like I said I was thinking about doing. We also have easy access to some bleed here and bleed here for the future. So then we can pretty much have, with the jewels that I've got, 100% chance to bleed on Hammer the Gods at least, and that's pretty much all I need anyway. So we are getting there, but that being said, I don't need a whole lot of heavy single target bleed when I'm just doing T15 maps, right? So keep that in mind as you're watching this. It's not like a end-all be-all guide for Smith of Kitava, like carrying you all the way through. It's really like, this is what I'm at right now, and this is what I'm doing right now. But that's fun for me to do those too. So I like the journey, I like the progression, and it's fun to make these as we go. So let's get started. That's what I did with my Ascendancy at long last. We will probably be grabbing increased strength and increased life for my next ones. That'll be pretty darn fun. And that would be cool. But I mean, if we don't need it, maybe we could just do the fire res and then just have like giga resists, but I think that's unnecessary. This would definitely put me at like 90 all res. That should be sweet. But yeah, I think in life and strength would probably be a good call. Anyway, for this, we started off with melee damage. We eventually could probably drop the melee damage and just go a little bit of a faster path through strength. If we just wanted to have a couple more points to spend, it would save you like 1 point. So you know, it's something. It's something. But we are going up here for melee damage. I even came back around to grab the increased AoE and increased armor break because I am breaking armor with Splinter and Stampede now, which is pretty fun. Just because we're in this side of the tree, this is where some things have changed. We're still grabbing the 80% increased armor from equipped body armor, which really isn't doing that much for me because we have a gray body or a, you know, like a white body armor now. So it's like armor is cool and all, but like, again, we could do just like armor here, points here and up here. I don't know if this would be better. I mean, maybe more armor is fine here, but that does kind of feel weird taking this talent when our armor's not that strong. But regardless, we do like the increased armor and the life regen, and mostly the strength. I am using a lot of strength on the tree, and this is one of the places where you can get it. When you guys are looking to transition into Giant's Blood, either for getting into maps or even before that if you wanted to, you're definitely going to want to pick up some strength on the tree. And this is one of the places to get it early on. Going down through strength here to grab increased AoE and increased AoE damage for this one. Grabbing some more strength, going in for attack speed, and just more attack speed. We are using a couple things that bring down my attack speed, so balancing it out with this attack speed, and this one is also nice. But we have it on my gloves and weapon too, so we'll talk about that in a second. More strength. I did decide to come down here. I basically took points out of this whole area, and I wanted to move them down into here, because this gives me a bunch of two-handed weapon damage that's not positionally required. And we also get more strength and more AoE, so that's cool. But it does come with the reduced attack speed penalty, but the stun build up, the damage, I think it's worth it. This is cool, and like I said, it puts us very close to being able to grab bleed here, and if we were feeling crazy, we could even grab a little bit of block into damage per block chance, which I'm not sure about that one, but that is a cool one. It also puts us pretty close to this one, which I like too, the increased armor, physical damage kind of deal. Those are pretty fun. So lots of cool talents in this general area, but we're not going there yet, but we may consider doing that eventually. So this is kind of a cool place to be for now. Then picking up over here, we grab the skill speed. That's always nice. The mana cost converted to life is kind of whatever. We don't really struggle with mana right now. I do tend to like blood magic, but we haven't been doing it this time around. We're going through here for the strength, grabbing all the two-handed damage nodes. Another one of these, reduced attack speed, but big stun build up, big damage. And then grabbing the increased AoE if you stun an enemy recently. Grabbing the increased AoE and AoE damage for big Aftershock AoE. Pretty cool for the Boneshatter Aftershocks. Very cool for Stampede Aftershocks. That's kind of what I'm mostly looking for there. And I am wanting to do Stampede eventually. We're grabbing some strength to path through to the big strength. I even have one little strength point there right now just to make sure I have just enough to put my weapon on. But we'll talk about that in a second. This wheel is always nice to keep your strength looking juicy. Although I did see that they're going to start making runes with stats on them, so that could be interesting to solve early stat problems. So we're going for armor and 15 strength. I mean, the defending with armor against crits is cool, but the main thing is we want the 15 strength. Going up here, I love this one. Inherent loss of rage is 10% slower. So I have rage on hit on a jewel. We have rage on hit on my glove socket. And then we have a little bit of rage when hit right here, which is kind of enough to generate some rage in combat, and it's very nice to keep it. This, if you're gonna try to use rage, this is a good thing to have. It's really easy to path to. It's a very useful thing. It makes rage degen more slowly and take longer to start degening. You start losing rage 1 second later. It's very nice to have. Grabbing some increased strength on these two nodes with some increased life and then stun threshold there. Using resolute technique. Again, just this is something that maybe I glossed over, but you cannot miss attacks with resolute technique. You don't need to worry about accuracy. The trade-off is you cannot crit, but who cares? We're eventually going to just be hitting hard and looking to bleed enemies. I love Sunder. I actually could, with this setup and the talent points that I have enough accuracy to use Sunder, but I'm still kind of in like a rolling slam mood recently. I like that I can move during rolling slam. I like the combination of stun buildup and hitting harder on a stunned enemy. And Sunder has a long wind up, you're stationary. I do like Sunder, but I feel like rolling slam is just more fitting my playstyle right now. But if we wanted to use Sunder, then we could drop resolute technique, and then we would go down here and grab this accuracy stuff. We would put precision in, and we would be able to do it that way. But that's not what I'm doing right now. This makes it so you can't miss. Very nice, especially early on. It's easy to path to while you're leveling, so I like that one. I'm grabbing the increased AoE damage, increased stun buildup, and increased AoE in general. These are all nice. I like this one. Somebody was asking me like, hey, you can use Brink on your Boneshatter so you don't have to stack AoE. It's like, yeah, I'll do both. I like AoE. We want more of it. It's beautiful for clear. And then I was thinking about dropping this node, but it's just so nice to have that max res. Max res is such a strong defense in PoE. I'm not invested heavily in block. I don't really have that much defense right now, so mitigating the damage that you take, and I feel like it is mostly elemental, is nice to have. So I'm actually pathing through lightning resist to grab all resist, and then I'm grabbing even these two over here just because this is basically all resist as well. So that again puts us at 90%. It cannot go higher than this. We have max resist right now, and then we have 88 cold and 87 fire. So we're pretty tanky to elemental, which is very nice. So those map mods where it's like adds 40% damage as lightning usually aren't as bad, right? Because we're not too worried about that. So then maybe we could even run double added damage mods, which is freaky. But maybe you could do it now that we're very resilient to elemental. I could also grab like 1-2 to grab the jewel socket. I really like this wheel. I really do. Going into combat, one enemy hits you, you get 11 rage. And then it also grants you armor is really nice, but I took it off so I could do some other stuff. But if I find I don't really feel like I need the damage, we can easily come back into here. And that's chill, but I'm going to go with the damage. I'm going to see how that feels. We are doing Titanic is what I have anointed. So I have that on my amulet. And that helps me have % increased strength with stun build up, stun threshold. Now we'll come back to over here. Remember my jewel sockets, they're not very good, but this has two of the things I like. I think my ideal jewel socket right now, without thinking about it too hard, would be 7% chance to bleed, 7% chance to block, 1 rage on hit, and 2 rage when hit. Or maybe I think it can go to 3. Can it go to 3? Yeah, it can go to 3 rage when hit, so that's pretty cool. But, I mean, increased AoE is cool. We're not using Thorns or Banner. I mean, technically we have Thorns with Scavenge Plating, but I'm not stacking it or anything. But I mostly just wanted it for the rage on hit. But yeah, block chance is great. Bleed chance is great. Rage stuff is good. But I mean, even like empowered attacks is cool. You know, just more fizz damage is cool. Attack damage is cool, but whatever. That's what I've got right now. Mostly just want the rage, but the bleed is cool too. So we have reduced attack speed, but more damage. You know, into big stun build up, big attack damage right there. And we're going over here. We are grabbing the mace stuff now. We are sometimes looking for aftershocks with Leap Slam, with Rolling Slam, Hammer of the Gods, and Stampede. So, you know, it's worth. It's worth. We're grabbing down through there and up through here. We are taking the 20% more damage against heavy stunned enemies. Usually we're looking to global a boss and a Hammer of the Gods. And they're usually, you know, we're doing that out of a stun. So that's what we're doing. We're building the stun on the boss, bone shattering them to knock them down. Infernal Cry, Seismic Cry, drop the hammer, and then, you know, it'll guaranteed aftershock, but sometimes with this, it will get another aftershock. So it's like 3 Hammer of the Gods hits on a boss, it's juicy damage. We're coming down here for more strength, reduced mana. We don't really seem to be bothered by the reduced mana too much. And we're even taking the increased damage for 15 strength. I mean, we have a lot, so it's like 30% increased damage at least, right? So that's a fine point. You know, we're not struggling with mana, so it's okay to take the downside there. Not a big deal. We've got Giant's Blood, which is another big thing. That's what's letting us use a 2-handed mace in one hand, so we can use the mace in one, the shield in the other, so we can be a tanky, big damage beast. It just makes it so we need a lot of strength to equip weapons, but we're stacking strength, so it's all good. We've been able to keep up with the strength requirement pretty good, and at some point, if we need 636 strength, we can figure that out. It wouldn't be too bad just to change our pathing a little bit. I'll show you what I would do. So this is another max res node path. This is giving me maximum fire resistance for each 40 uncapped fire res. So right now I have basically 120 fire res. So that's giving me an extra 3 max res for everybody, right? Which is pretty cool. Very juicy indeed. And then we've got some strength going into a jewel socket, which I really am just using for the chance to gain rage when hit by an enemy. But the bleed and stun threshold and area effect, those are all useful, so that's fine. Now, if you guys are struggling to put your weapon on because you don't have enough strength on your gear, or you're trying to get a 636 requirement weapon on, what we could do is go down through here with polymathy. It's a bit of a travel, but you end up picking up some attributes along the way, which helps. 7% increased attributes, which definitely helps, and then you can even reduce the attribute requirement on stuff with these 3 nodes here. So if you're really struggling to get a weapon on, you don't have enough strength, you can use your talent tree to kind of mitigate that a little bit. And we might want to do this when we want to have like a big daddy weapon. Cool enough, it also puts you close to bleed stuff, right? So this is something I used to do in the past when I went down to polymathy. Puts you close to bleed, puts you close to some AoE stuff, which is really fun. And then you can path up through here for a jewel socket and then more bleed stuff here. So if you wanted to get bleed, that's another place you could do it. I think this bleed is kind of convenient too, though. Something to keep in mind. It both has, it gives you armor break there, armor break here, basically. So you have 2 options, but if you have enough strength, you don't need to go to polymathy if you don't want to. But this is cool for basically damage and bleed. This is cool for putting your weapon on, which is damage and bleed. So that's another way to increase your damage, is get a better weapon. So that's one way to do it. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. We're level 89, so we have a couple more talent points to work with. I will continue to kind of see what we need. My suspicion is our damage is okay. We would probably be a little squishy just because our armor is so low. But we will see how it goes. In terms of skills and stuff, not a lot has changed. We're about to level 90, which is going to open up another Mace Strike little socket here, which is cool. I don't really use Mace Strike that much, but you know, it's kind of cool to pump it up. When I do use it, I have it socket up with close combat, because you're really only ever hitting in close range with this, so that's fine. The concentrated effect, it doesn't really do AoE, but you can buff its damage with concentrated effect, which is cool. I currently have bleed on this. I'm not really going to continue to use bleed there. It's just something to put there. And then I have culling strike, which is useful. So sometimes when like an enemy's low, you don't want to wind up like a rolling slam. Just bap him with your melee attack, and that'll take him out. Bleed is just there. It's fine. Eventually, I'll put something else there. Leap slam. This is the big one, boys. This is our bread and butter. Big old leap slam. I think as time goes on and as my damage increases, then we will probably eventually just transition more into just stampeding through maps and exploding everything. But right now, leap slam is still very nice to have, especially when looking to prime an enemy for stun, because we have overpower on there, which increases its stun buildup. And then we have this one. Remember, guys, remember, Brink is like what it's all about, especially early on, like in leveling. Once you get Brink, your life is a breeze, because this makes it so stun buildup caused by supported skills cannot reach 100%. You cannot overstun an enemy with leap slam, so it will always leave them at maximum primed for stun. So that's why we have Brink in there. Right now I have Holy Descent, where it creates consecrated ground for like a little bit of a heal. It also reduces the impact of curses on you. Arguably, we could use like Martial Tempo for this one. Would be fine. And I think what I'll do is, since I'm not really using the bleed on anything right now, eventually I'll use it on my Hammer of the Gods. I'm just gonna chuck that in there. I'm gonna put bleed on Rage Shield, because I'm just not using it at all. But we're gonna put Martial Tempo on my Mace attack, and I might experiment with Martial Tempo on Holy Descent, because we do have a little bit of leech in my build now, so we might not need that. And just jumping around faster is probably gonna be something nice. So I'll think about it. Boneshatter. This is another one of your bread and butter abilities. A lot of leap and Boneshatter for a long time, but Boneshatter also just helps you clean up packs, even if you're using Stampede. So the big thing is Impact Shockwave. You want a big AoE to detonate on people when you Boneshatter them. I also like adding a ton more AoE to it. So we are doing big AoE with Magnified Effect. We're also using Reach. Supported skills have less accuracy against enemies within 2 meters. We don't worry about accuracy. We never miss. All good. So we just get 35% more area of effect for free. And I am using Devastate to break armor. This is one of the ways that I break armor. I'm not really making maximum usage of armor break, but I am using Scavenged Plating. So every time I Boneshatter a pack, I'm getting guaranteed Scavenged Plating stacks for armor, which is great. Hammer of the Gods is one of our big heavy hitters. I'm using Rage Forge to consume rage to make it do more damage. I'm making it do more damage, but have a little bit less attack speed. And I am consuming the fully broken armor effect to do way more damage with it. Eventually, I'll put a bleed on there for big damage. So as you can kind of see what's happening here, even against the boss, you'll leap slam them to prime them for stun. You'll Boneshatter them to knock them down, and then you'll consume that fully armor broken effect with Hammer of the Gods to do big damage. And then we'll also do some Warcry stuff. But let's talk about Rolling Slam real quick. Rolling Slam. This is just kind of that catch-all ability. You know, I don't use it that much rotationally, but like if a rare is almost dead, I don't feel like using Hammer of the Gods on them. We'll just take them out. Then I also use this as part of my boss killing combo. You can also use this as like your, don't have Hammer of the Gods ready, just kind of whack the boss for a little while to try to do some damage, get some stun build up. It's alright. What I have on there right now is Fist of War to give it a little bit more AoE every once in a while. I think I probably could switch this out for something more reliable. Maybe like Brutality, perhaps. Maybe I'll actually do that right now. I like a little bit of AoE, but I think I'm just going to go with Brutality if I'm not using Brutality on anything else. But eventually we'll put Fist of War back on there. Can we put this here? No, I can't. Alright. What can we put Fist of War in the meanwhile? I like to have the hammer fall. Like the big Hammer of the Gods. But we'll do this more damage. I just feel like doing that for now. Brutality is fine. I don't think Brutality interferes with you being able to hit with Infernal Cry. But you're just not doing any elemental damage or chaos, which is fine. Heft. You know what? Let's bank Heft. Well, you know, it's fine. I'm just thinking, sometimes I do Rolling Slam multiple times in a row, but we'll just do it this way. You have some options. It's just not that big of a deal. Reverberate is kind of nice, though, because it gives you 50% increased chance to cause aftershocks every quarter second of attack time. And Rolling Slam is kind of a long attack time, so you're kind of roly-polying around, so it gives you a 37% aftershock chance. So I mean, that's pretty cool. More stun build up, more damage with aftershocks is nice. So Infernal Cry and Seismic Cry are a big Warcry stuff. So what Infernal Cry does is adds extra damage as fire, which is crazy. So I'm pretty sure this does not cause a problem with rolling slam and brutality. It makes me a little bit worried though. Sometimes it reads like it might, but I'm pretty sure it does not do that. Anyway, Infernal Cry, I have it socketed up with empowered skills deal more damage. I have it socketed up with it costs less, and I have it socketed up with it will grant me rage per power of enemy in the radius. So against the boss, it'll give me like, you know, 20 rage or whatever, or 16 rage, I believe. And then I'll use Seismic Cry to daze the enemy, so you can use this to kind of increase your stun build up on bosses when you're smacking on them. Life Tap, I just make it cost life instead of mana, so I don't drain my mana doing the combo. And then I also have this Consuming Rage to make the next attack that you use do more damage. So basically, again, against the boss, you'll daze them with the Cry, you'll jump on them a little bit, or you can Rolling Slam them. And then once they're stunned, you'll Infernal, Seismic, and then drop the hammer on them. And then while you're doing that, you'll roly-poly attack them too, just for big damage during the combo. And in terms of my buffs, I've got Scavenged Plating with duration so that the plates buff lasts longer. I also have it socket up with Cannibalism. Doesn't matter which one you socket of these ones in which aura, but supported skill or getting a 2% maximum life on kill is insane for mapping and stuff. Time of Need, we have this clearing buffs for me, giving me a little bit of life every once in a while. It's I dropped a Herald of Ash for the moment. I don't think I need help with the clear, so I'm going for a little bit tankier options as we're just getting into T15s, but T15s are going pretty smooth. Then I have this giving me mana regen. If I was using the accuracy path, I would be going with precision here. And then I have Herbalism, where you have increased recovery from life flasks, which is great. And then I have Stampede here at the bottom. It's not really ready yet, but that's what I've got. Now, Momentum could be cool, but I also, because we're getting more strength, I kind of want to do this. Because it seems like this could be good. I'm going to try it out and see how it feels. Because I bet it could be all right. We're gonna see. I'm always experimenting, boys. I'm always experimenting. But the shockwave element of it would probably be kind of cool. We'll see what the damage is like, but I don't know if the shockwave actually contributes to armor break or not. We will see. In terms of my gear, we haven't really made that much gear changes. I think maybe got the belt because I wanted more fire resist to get over that 120% for the extra max res for everything. But let's go over the gear. Again, sometimes you guys haven't seen anything of the build yet, so we should go over it. This weapon right here, this costs like, I think this was 2 divine. I should mention that this build is probably like it's definitely under 10 divines in terms of what I've spent on it so far. So it's fairly budget if you're in the maps and you're getting loot. Fairly budget. But we have increased physical damage. We have flat physical damage, and we have a teeny little accuracy roll. So what you really want is big percent increased fizz, big added fizz, and then this fizz accuracy hybrid roll for your prefixes. Again, this is not a perfect weapon, but it's pretty good. In terms of its suffixes, it has attack speed. I would love to have increased stun duration and added melee skills, but instead of that, it has strength and light fleech, which is like whatever. For a 2-div weapon, for the DPS that it does, it's pretty good. My gloves, we've got life, attack speed. I would like chaos res on gloves would be awesome. For gloves in general, I think like the ideal gloves for me would be like added fizz, life. I don't know, like with another sub, could you get a prefix of rarity on gloves? Mana's fine. But then I would love to have like attack speed plus skills and then chaos res. That'd be cool. But on your gear in general, what you want is like strength, life, and then like fire resist is cool to keep your max res like super juicy. A little bit of mana leech here is also kind of cozy, but the main thing is for armor is like strength and life. And then gloves in particular can have attack speed, they can have plus melee skills, and they can have chaos res, which is cool. Rings, more the same. Strength, life, resists, or stats where you need it. You can also get added damage there. You can get rarity on rings, which is excellent. My other ring is kind of a similar sort of thing. Life, stats. This one has mana leech too, which is great. The lightning damage, chaos damage does not do anything for me, but whatever. It'll get us started, right? That's fine. Strength, life, a little bit of res where you need it. Other stats when you need it. Added damage is great too, and rarity is great on rings. Helmet, we have life, strength, a little bit of res, you know, more of the same. Helmets can have rarity. That's excellent too. If you need accuracy, you can get a lot of accuracy on a helmet, but this gives me a big chunk of life and a big chunk of strength. That's pretty much what we're looking for there. For the amulet can give you all kinds of crazy stuff. Amulet can give you plus melee skills, but you probably want life, strength, You can get percent life on here too. Right now we have percent armor, life, and a bunch of attributes. So it's a bunch of strength on this amulet if you look at it, right? It's 41 strength on this amulet. No, is that right? 51 strength on this amulet. So it's a lot of strength on this one guy, and it gives me a bunch of life and armor. That's cool, and dex, so we can kind of equip whatever we want. So that's nice to have. The belt is giving me a bunch of life, a little bit of armor, strength, but also 40 fire resist. That's a big chunk of fire resist. That's why I'm wearing this one. And then boots, where you want movement speed, strength, life, resist if you need it. You can get rarity on boots. That's excellent too. You can, I mean, if you have free rolls, you can get armor and stuff. Like armor on gloves would be fine too. Now that I'm thinking about it, right? In terms of the prefixes that we were talking about. But yeah, you definitely want movement speed. Like 35% movement speed, 30 movement speed's aight for now. But life, strength, resist if I need it. And then some rarity would be cool. The chest piece. Our chest piece is not very exciting. It is a qualityed up superior ornate plate. Just I like the regen. This rolled pretty high. 2.5% of your max life per second regen is cool. And then it just has the 5 max fire resistance, which is max all for Smith. And then we have 25% of physical damage taken from this fire damage. Both of those are coming from my Ascendancy, of course. My shield right now is, you want block chance on the shield. 40% plus block chance is great. Armor's whatever. Strength is nice. You want, like, I think life, strength, block chance, resist if you need it is great. The additional physical damage reduction is great if you need it. Chaos res here would be cool. That's what you're looking for on the shield. And then in terms of my actual like sockets, we are able to socket some chaos res in here. All the red sockets are chaos res. We still have 1 fire resistance just to give us that little bit of a bump to get the +1 max all res. And let's see, anything else that's interesting? And I guess what we can do eventually is we can corrupt this, right? So we can corrupt all the gear to get like extra sockets eventually, but we're fine right now. I don't want to get too cute. Let's run this one. This one seems like fun to show you guys what the build actually looks like. Oh yeah, and in terms of flasks, I like the recovery replied instantly. Not all of it, but some of it replied instantly. I like the flask charges gained over time when possible. These are chance to gain charges when you kill an enemy, which is like a second best. The mana flask doesn't really matter that much, I don't think. And I'm still using an amethyst charm to just kind of like prop up my resists. This gaining charges when you kill an enemy is fine. Just charges over time is probably even better. And then recover 3 mana when used is like whatever. Maybe like a duration one would be fine, or like, you know, whatever. That's what I'm cooking with right now. That's the basic overview for how the build is set up. Let's take it into a map and show you guys what's up. We could find ourselves a juicy one. I don't know. I'm kind of pathing down here. I want to see what's down here. There's 2 towers, I guess. We'll just go hit the crypt. The crypt is a kind of a fun map. Let's do it. This one doesn't really have anything too crazy going on. It's level 80. There shouldn't be too many like damage reduction and their increase to the mobs. They are gonna run fast though, so they're gonna try to come kill me fast. Oh, I guess we're doing a delirium too. I feel like we've been getting a lot of delirium and expedition in my maps recently. So the playstyle for this guy is a lot of leaping and Boneshatter and still. What's nice is that as you stay in combat, you kind of heat up your rage. So this guy, we probably could hammer the gods this dude, probably should have. I'll send it right now. But as you stay in combat, you do generate rage. This is what I'm talking about, where rolling slam is kind of nice just to have like, you know, a rare that's kind of strong, didn't die instantly, so you gotta slam him. My rage is definitely not building up as fast as it used to, because we don't have the rage when hit, but thankfully, once we get rolling with rage, we do seem to maintain it pretty good because of the talents that we're taking for having rage, you know, degen more slowly and have an extra second for it before it falls off. So, oh, you know what I need to show you? I need to show you my my map, my Atlas passive. So for the passives, I've mostly gone into let's see, while this is opening up, we've mostly gone into adding mobs to the maps, like rares and pack size and magic mobs, and then I even went over here to grab increased quantity of waystones dropped because I want to make sure I'm farming T15s really good. I went for local knowledge to get maybe hopefully a chance at some of that the jeweler's orbs dropping, and I'm going for increased precursors drop just so we can get plenty of those, and then I'm having more effective precursors as well. So when you get those nice precursors that are like extra experience or extra rarity, it's going to make those effects more powerful. And then eventually we can do explicit modifiers for maps too, which is pretty cool. But if you'll notice, even against like delirious mobs, feeling it relatively tanky. I'm still a little bit worried about our physical damage reduction, just because it feels weird running around with like 60% armor. But remember, we have the 60% armor thanks to scavenged plating, and then we also have all of the damage taken as fire damage, which we also mitigate very powerfully. So we're kind of chilling. It ends up being a really, like, at this point, pretty cozy build, and it's like the maps are going to get stronger for sure. Like, we're going to be able to do the thing where we have the explicit modifiers are going to be stronger per tower affecting them, you know, precursor buffs, and then the explicit modifiers are buffed up per like modifier on the map. So, you know, things like 30% extra damage added as fire are going to go to like 60% extra damage added as fire. So the fact that we're tanky now is good, but once you get to tier 15 maps, your character starts to scale pretty hard, because you're going to get access to skill gems, which buff your damage a ton. You're going to get access to better gear. And the maps don't really get a whole lot like tougher than T15, maybe T16s, right? So this is the T15s are kind of like a big, like, not necessarily a hurdle, but it's like a milestone, right? And you can definitely continue to scale the maps. But it feels to me like we are going to start getting stronger than the maps are more quickly, right? Like, we scale harder than the maps, which I like. That's going to be fun. This is a relatively strong guy. He's temporal bubble, but here's the idea. 2 shouts. Use a little bit of rage on him. He gets dunked on. And I do feel like I'm a teeny little bit slower attack speed wise than I was before, because we have the 5% you know, reduce attack speed.
I need more time.
Oh, we could have crushed this guy. There we go. See, this guy, we don't need to hammer him, so we just smack him one time. We could have also just auto attacked him. But if I really didn't like the attack speed, or say, you know, put differently, if I feel like my damage is like turbo sufficient and my stun build up is like turbo sufficient, I don't think this mob is gonna be able to find anything to infest. I don't know where you plan on going. Oh, it's gonna get the essence. Okay, good. I'm a genius leaving the essence up, of course, right? Free hammer that bad boy.
Come on now, let's end this.
There we go. If I don't feel like I need the damage on this right side of the tree, what we can do is we can just go for the attack speed instead. Now, we're kind of wasting a teeny bit on accuracy, but we don't even need to do it, right? Oh, sorry, not that one, this one. We don't need to really worry about the accuracy too much. We can just use it for the attack speed if we wanted to. But it's a bit of a travel, so I don't think that's likely to happen, but we could. But yeah, in terms of my mapping strategy, we've kind of just been taking what we've been given, which is a whole lot of expedition and delirium. Didn't we already get that? Why is it acting like I didn't? Oh, because we didn't. Okay, cool. I like to do breach, and I would have liked to do breach, but the breach precursors are just not dropping, so we're just not doing it. Which is fine, I guess. Grab all this. We'll do expedition and delirium. Ritual seems like it's pretty good too. So all in all, I mean, they keep making changes to the end game, and I think that's mostly buffing things up. I did take a bit of a hit there. I'm not sure what that was. Maybe some kind of like corpse explosion. Still got to move around. Still got to like do stuff. So I guess we chilling too hard and just dying. But the Boneshatter explosions continue to do work. Eventually, when my damage starts getting crazy, we're gonna be able to just like stampede on fools. Bonk. And the main thing is like getting good at mapping right now is important. A lot of people are asking in the comments, rightly so, like how is it gonna do against bosses? Against normal map bosses, it does just fine. The strategy of building up stun, dropping a big hammer on them, and just repeat that process is fine. The issue is when you're fighting bosses that are going to have, like, you're gonna have a hard time stunning them. That's when things are gonna get weird. And there are certain map bosses, like the big like Titan bosses, where they don't really get stun build up on them very well. Those guys are kind of weird. And in that situation, you're just kind of like doing a long fight. A long fight with rolling slams, basically. Leap slam, rolling slams. Leap slam just to kind of like, you know, try to get the stun build up on them. But also give yourself like a little healing circle is nice, right? It's just going to take a while. And so against the pinnacle boss, that's going to be kind of the concern, right? But you can have enough power in your character to stun pinnacle bosses, and when you do, just make sure that you one-shot them. So that's where like a weapon swap is going to be good, where we're going to maybe specialize into single target damage. A lot of people like to use like a two-hander weapon swap, where you build up a stun with your normal build, and then you stun the boss, whip into the two-hander setup, and then dunk on him with like a mega hammer of the gods. That is not what I tend to do. Usually I tend to just do it like a WoW dual spec, where I'll just click and drag my weapons into my second weapon like setup, and then I'll just fight the boss with that, so I can do much more single target stuff, and I don't have to worry about all the AoE talents and stuff, and I can use like regen talents if you wanted more defense instead of like damage reduction stuff, that kind of thing you can do. But we'll see. I think two-hander hammer of the gods definitely hits really freaking hard. So if you're gonna try to have to one-shot the thing in one hammer of the gods combo, that's probably the way to go about it. We'll see. Thump. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alrighty. So today, we'll probably do our streaming. Probably gonna play some WoW to start the day on stream, and then we'll be doing PoE stuff as well, because I'm having a really good time with the game. Like, it's super fun. We just need to make sure that everything is balanced out. But I really appreciate all the love on the YouTube videos. Definitely don't want to leave you guys hanging on the daily updates and whatnot. There's some kind of cool stuff going on here. I think we'll hold on to some of these. Yeah, there's definitely some cool items here. All right. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Again, my plan for this dude is just to kind of keep pumping, man. Keep leveling him up, keep making gains, see what it looks like as we take him into the end game. But so far, I mean, everything's smooth, man. Maps are fun. Bossing is not going to be too bad, as long as you can, you know, hang in there. And once we get more single target damage and maybe a little bit more emphasis on bleed, I think that even bosses that have like a lot of health, you know, we'll get them eventually, right? Just focus on maybe a little bit more single target damage with stun buildup rather than AoE, and focus on a little bit more bleed rather than, you know, again, the AoE, and I think we'll be just fine. But all in all, appreciate you guys tuning in for these videos. Thank you so much for showing them love. Definitely leave a like, leave a comment if you have any questions. I want to know how your builds are going too. I always love reading whatever builds you guys come up with. So definitely keep showing the videos love. We'll see you guys on stream. Keep the PoE pumps rolling. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.